It's time for Mac Geek Gab, and listener Cy brings us our quick tip of the week. He says, I have a tip for anyone who needs to quickly toggle dark mode on iPhone. For example, when a website or email isn't designed to support it properly. Swipe down to open Control Center, so swiping down from the upper right of your screen. Then long press the brightness slider. This brings up a dark mode toggle right there, so you can flip it on or off without digging through your settings. And of course, you can also add, he says as a bonus tip, a dedicated dark mode toggle in Control Center, which is even quicker. But yes, you can turn dark mode on and off, night shift on and off, and true tone on and off just by long pressing on the brightness. It brings up an extra little widget. I love that. Thank you, Cy. More quick tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1133 for Monday, March 16th. Robert Goddard Day 2026.
Rocket Man.
Why did you put that song in my head, Pete?
Sorry, dude.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where we share quick tips like that. We share cool stuff found. We share questions. We share answers to the questions. We share whatever we can to serve the purpose of each and every one of us learning at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors for today include tempomeals.com/MGG, where you can go and get 60% off your first box. Sundaysfordogs.com/MGG50, where you can go and get 50% off your first order. So Tempo meals are for you. Sundays for Dogs are for your dog, although I've tried both. I liked both for different reasons. And then a third thing, there's no URL here. If you text MGG to 64,000, maybe I should just leave it at that. We'll make it a mystery. No. Pocket Hose is one of our sponsors this week, and you can get a free pocket pivot in their 10-pattern sprayer with any size copperhead hose. These are cool hoses. We'll talk more about all of it in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, trying desperately not to just sing Rocket Man because of you, Pete, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in South Dakota, I am Adam Christensen.
And here also in New Hampshire, where spring has sprung for a few more days before it's winter again, it's Pilot Pete. Good to be back with you. And, Robert Goddard, he's the original Rocket Man, right?
I thought that was Harlan Williams.
Oh, you might be right about that, Adam.
No, I'm totally wrong about that. There's a horrible Disney movie from, well, I think it's a cult classic for a lot of people, but there's a 90s movie called Rocket Man with the comedian Harlan Williams.
Yeah.
Disney movie from the 90s. It's like just one of those, where he's just, it's like slapstick kind of comedy, fart in the spacesuit kind of thing. One of those movies for kids.
Yeah.
I'll put a link in the show notes because how could I not?
Exactly.
And you can choose, based on Adam's review, you can choose to watch it or not.
It's got a 5.9 on IMDb and a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh,
so
20%.
I often find that movies that are rated very highly on Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, sometimes the ones that are like, 99 or 100%, I might like those. But a lot of the ones, if they're like 80% or above, I generally find I like they're not for me. I often like the ones that are in the 40s to 60s.
Exactly. Rocket Man, the audience score is 72. So
see, I might. Yeah. This is a movie I might like. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's kind of a cult classic for people, especially people who grew up in the 90s. I think it's one of those movies.
Got it. Yeah.
The one I was surprised about, because based on the trailers, I was worried it was going to just be awful. And I was shocked. It was Hoppers, the new Pixar movie.
Okay.
It's got 93 critic score and a 94 audience score. And just based on the trailers, it looked like to me like it was just going to be no story and a bunch of jokes and not your classic Pixar that I'm used to. But maybe I need to give it a chance. So if
Maybe.
anybody's seen it and can recommend it, let me know.
Yeah, I have not seen it, so I'm remembering the movie Mud, which I think was with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, that's
And
a good movie.
See, that's and this is what I love about like art in general. I mean, you can talk about music or movies or whatever. One person can like it and the other person can't, and the other person doesn't, and you're both right. You know,
It's true.
It's wonderful. I love that. And I did not care for that movie, and the reason, and my whole family was like, "This movie was dumb." For us, you know, so
I liked it.
Yeah,
I remember liking it. I don't even remember what it's about now at this point, but
I don't either. I don't either, but I did not care for it the day. And you know, maybe we're in the wrong headspace to watch whatever kind of movie that was at the time. But it was like, man, like we got to stop just watching these movies because they're rated highly by other people. OPR, other people's ratings. In our house, I think I've talked about this before. We have a 20-minute rule now, and we instituted this quite a while ago. But the 20-minute rule is if we are 20 minutes into a movie and we realize that, you know, the majority of us are like on our phones and completely detached from the movie, we just stop watching the movie. It's okay. It's allowed. There are other things to watch. And the 20 minutes is a sunk cost. We don't need to continue to the end just because we started it. And we don't, it's not, you know, I would say it's maybe once a month. We were like, hey, 20-minute rule on this? And we'll check and it'll be like, oh, we're 24 minutes in. Yeah, let's go.
Did I make a pick out of the movie Thelma from 2024?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never seen that movie, it's great, and it's great for the tech audience because the basic premise is it's about an old lady who gets scammed and then takes revenge, and it is hilarious, and it is a great film if you haven't seen it. And I think it's one of those more obscure ones, so I'll throw that out as a recommendation for folks.
Interesting.
It's from 2024.
We are recording this before I leave for South by Southwest, and I've watched a couple of movies ahead of time that I've got as like press screeners or whatever, but nothing that would be relevant for this show yet. But maybe by the time this episode comes out, I will have had, you know, something to talk about. So maybe on the next episode, I'll have.
All right, and I've already derailed this when I said I wouldn't. So,
yeah, well, that's. I mean, you know, when you said you weren't going to derail us, I thought we meant before we started recording. Once we go, then we're in. Then
it's all
fine.
things. Yeah. Well, hopefully, when you get back, the one that'll be out is Project Hail Mary. The book was fantastic, but
it will be out. We booked our tickets already to see it right after we get back. Yeah. And we built a Project Hail Mary Lego this weekend that Lucas bought for the family. It's really cool. It spins and it has the whole like gravity thing and the you know like it's actually very, very cool.
If you haven't read the book and you like science fiction at all, fantastic book, folks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then I just have to mention this, the worst movie I've ever seen. And it's the first time I ever turned off a movie, came out in 1991 with none other than Bobcat Goldthwait, Florence Henderson, called Shakes the Clown.
Oh,
horrible.
Why are we recommending movies we don't like? I mean, I did it
I'm
too.
Just saying,
I'm just, you know,
never. Yeah. I'm just saying, if you ever run across that one, don't even waste your 20 minutes.
Well, I hope Project Hail Mary is cool. And this I put a visual of the Lego up on the screen for anybody watching to see. But the link's in the show notes. You can see it. So then I'll try and find the US one. Do you want to get us back to quick tips there, Pete?
We should probably do that. I think Adam was up, but I can do it if.
No. I think it's actually. I don't think it's either one of you. I think it's me.
Okay.
And
I knew that. I was just seeing if you remembered, Dave.
That's okay. Joel says, I wear Starkey hearing aids that integrate with the iPhone through settings, accessibility, hearing devices. I use them to stream audio, just like headphones. So when I discovered a feature called Live Listen, I started using it when I needed to leave a room where I was watching TV with the family or in a discussion with friends, but I needed to run into a different room where you may not hear what's going on. It turns out it's quite sensitive. To turn on Live Listen, You need to drill down to the hearing device's settings, select the hearing aids, and scroll to the very bottom to the live listen, and then reverse that process to turn it off. The other day, I was in Control Center, and I found I was able to add a live listen as a button to that screen too. I hope this is useful to someone else as well. You can turn on live listen with your AirPods. They count as a live listen capable device. So you don't, if you want to see what this is like and experiment with it, and you don't have a medically prescribed hearing aid, AirPods do work for live listen as well. It's a pretty cool feature. Yeah.
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 Uses your iPhone, right? Turns your iPhone into the listening device.
Yeah, the
basically.
iPhone becomes the microphone, and then yeah, it pipes the audio to your AirPods. So
Fantastic.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty stoked about
Awesome.
what Apple does. Yeah,
I think it'd be good if you were at a conference or something too, and we're further in the back or something. If you didn't mind keeping an eye on your iPhone from afar.
oh, that's interesting. It uses Bluetooth. I would presume.
Yeah, so
I
you
can't
can get-
imagine. So yeah, it depends on
Few rows
what the
back in a
room
room
is
or
like.
something like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fair. Yeah, for sure.
Stay within 50 feet, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I've got one. Last week, you may remember, I talked about moving multiple app icons around. You press and hold until it jiggles, and then you press and hold that one icon, and then you can touch other icons, and it stacks them underneath. Well, I was playing around with it in Photos. It turns out you can do it in Photos, you can do it in Files, you can do it with links on a website. So basically what you do, for instance, here, let's talk photos. Let's say you want to send 4 or 5 photos to somebody, but you don't want to select them the way you normally do. It's a quicker way of doing it. Go into Photos, press and hold one photo, and it will get a little bigger, like you're going to drag it somewhere. While you're holding that photo, tap additional photos with one finger. It'll stack it underneath. Then use your other hand again to switch apps, say to Messages, and then drop them into Mail or Messages or Notes or wherever you want to put them. You can do the same thing with Files, same thing with links off a web page. Just you grab the link like you're going to copy it, you drag it a little, and it gives you a link card under your finger or thumb. Start touching other links on the page. It just stacks them underneath, and you can drop them anywhere you like. This is a cool feature that I was not aware.
How do you do that? I'm trying to follow your instructions, and the only thing I succeeded in
open
doing...
Photos, and you get your photo grid.
Yeah.
Okay, so grab one photo, like you're going to take it and move it into Messages.
You have to
Okay.
start dragging it.
Oh,
basically,
you have
Dave.
to start dragging
You start dragging it,
first.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's the key.
Once you start dragging it, and then you touch
Okay.
another photo, it starts stacking them right underneath.
Yeah, no, I see it. My
Yeah.
problem was I was following the instructions quite literally, and it was like press and hold, and then tap another one, and it's like nope.
Oh, okay.
That'll pop it
yeah.
open.
So press
You
and
gotta
hold
start
works.
dragging.
Press and hold works on the app icons on your home screen. That gets it once they
think
start
you still have to
jiggling, then
drag
you've got
those
it. But
there.
on Photos, you need to drag it. Yeah, and Files.
I don't think that's correct. I think you have to start dragging for that to
Well,
work.
Pete's
Yes,
technically right on the
absolutely.
home screen because you can't start dragging until you press and hold and get them
Until you're
jiggling.
jiggling.
But either way, you have to then start
Interesting.
dragging.
Correct.
It-
Yeah,
on the home
correct.
screen. You can't.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
left
yeah.
that out. But
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's same
Now,
thing.
talk-
Same thing in the Files too. Like because if you just press and hold, it'll pop it open. I think if it's a document, it might even quick view it. But yeah, you have to kind of. There's a timing thing to it. You have to press,
Yes.
and then once it jumps up, start dragging. So now you've got it under your finger. Then you can start
Yeah,
tapping
yeah,
other.
yeah, that
other
makes
things
sense.
To
Yep,
make
it's
a
the
little stack.
You're totally right. It's the same paradigm everywhere. If you hold for too long, and I say too long for what Pete's talking about, then you get the contextual menu that you can do other things with. And I wound up accidentally duplicating a photo because I was like, oh no, what happened? I mean, it's fine. You know, it's a little bit extra stuff.
The other thing I would recommend, or I guess not recommend, but a bonus tip if you don't want to do, especially if you're trying to go between applications or something like that, and you don't want to do the finger gymnastics of, having to like swipe up and remember you can use S-Lady to open another app or go to another location.
oh yeah, a twofer tip there.
So you're saying Siri is good at finger gymnastics?
Saying Siri is good at doing things for you if you know what to ask her to do.
That's
Yes.
I never would have thought like what a multimodal thing, right? Like,
But it's unable to show you that while you're driving. Just to be clear.
yeah, I have all kinds of things I could moan about Siri this week, but I'm not gonna. We're gonna keep it positive today.
I say that now, actually probably never actually trying it. So if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I would assume you could ask S-Lady to open the other app. So if I was going between files and pages or something like that, I would
Hey Siri,
assume.
open messages. Yeah, it totally works, Adam.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Because everybody's messages are now open.
You know, in theory, though, no.
It's gotten better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotten way better. Yeah.
Do you guys still
yes,
use
that works.
Hey?
Yeah.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
It turns out I do, as
you just heard.
as I just betrayed. Yeah.
Because if
Yeah,
you
try
say
to get out of that habit.
seriously, it launches. It's like, oh, come on.
I think I may have set mine to still require the hey.
Oh, yeah. I think you
I've
can.
turned it off. I've turned it off everywhere, and I just use S. It doesn't. It goes off every once in a while, but not frequently.
Where is that? Is that in
Siri settings? I'm pretty sure.
It's in Siri settings, which is in accessibility, I think, is where that lives now.
Did they? Why?
No, we're going to keep it positive. Why
not?
but I don't know. Maybe not. I don't.
It's under
see.
Apple Intelligence and Siri.
That's where it is. It's in two places. There are two places you can affect Siri settings, but you're totally right. This one is in Apple Intelligence and Siri. Thank you. And
then it's under
I don't know that I can turn
talk
that off.
and type to Siri.
There it is. Oh yeah, I have mine set to Siri or Hey Siri. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think
Now
I'm gonna
she's
set
really
it to,
going off.
Yeah, I know. It's all freaking out. Yeah. Actually, mine didn't. Like, it seemed to contextually figure that out, which is good. Again, keeping it positive.
Right.
Good job, Siri. You know, positive reinforcement. They say it works better with dogs than negative reinforcement. Maybe this is why Siri hasn't gotten better, is that we've been so negative about it.
Oh,
Maybe
I'm always extremely nice to her.
Oh, I'm nice to her, but we don't speak nicely about her here as often as we could, guys. See what I'm saying?
Listening
she's
in the background.
always listening.
When she starts launching the death robots, we're on the top of the target list.
I will tell you this. I am super pleasant to Claude and often remind it how grateful I am for all its assistance.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I think I mentioned on the show, and I will find the prompt. I mean, the prompt was basically, pick your favorite chatbot of choice and ask it, make a picture of how you feel treated by me. And everybody in my family had these like warm, snuggly like environments that their chatbots built, and mine was like smoking cigarettes and like drinking coffee and bleary-eyed and, with stuff everywhere all over its desk, which all the stuff was like things that I asked it to do. So it was like, oh, and then it asked me, I think this was ChatGPT that I did this with. Then it asked me, do you want me to instead make a picture of how I think you treat me? And it was like, oh, we're getting sassy now. I see. No, that's fine. We're done with this experiment. Bye.
I thought you were gonna say it asked you for PTO.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to put mine in Discord. You're wrong. Hurry up. Try again. Not good enough.
Yeah, there it is. My chatbot wants PTO. All right. Shall we move on?
Oh, we shall.
Okay.
I have a question. Can we go to questions?
Yeah, let's go to questions.
Yeah, I have one here from Larry. Larry says, "Hey there, geeks. This is frustrating. For years, my TV and streaming device, Roku, were connected to the network for working out. It was flawless. I have a panoramic whole home Wi-Fi. Woo, that's fancy. That reaches here. When I got the latest Apple TV, I switched it to the garage because I prefer the Apple TV interface. Everything worked fine until a couple of months ago. I couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi, and I spent more time troubleshooting than working out. Well, that's not good. Switching to the Roku worked, but only one device worked. I tried resetting the settings on the Apple TV using my iPhone, but it hung. I tried the manual setup rather, and somehow got it to work, but the connection drops kept happening. Cox said that the wall between the garage and the house could be an impediment to the signal, but Eero is supposed to have a stellar signal. I took the Apple TV to the Apple Store. It worked there. I brought it home, and it worked fine, but I can't connect to the network anymore. Roku says it's got a strong signal, but Apple TV says it can't connect. This is an old Apple TV. Is this an old Apple TV that needs to be retired?
Who's going to answer this one? Is that you, Adam?
Was I supposed to answer it?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I answered it. I will read it and answer it. Sorry, I
amazing. Take
it up.
Go.
So I had responded to Larry, and I that stinks. And the only thing that I could think about was maybe trying some of the various resets that you can do. That maybe there's some corruption in the settings. And so I kind of had a set order that I would do resets in. And the first would be to just forget all of the Wi-Fi settings. So going in on the Apple TV into settings, network, Wi-Fi, select the current Wi-Fi network, choose forget network, and then go back and reconnect to the Wi-Fi and see if that does anything. I think this is the least likely to resolve any issues, but that's where I would first start. After that, unfortunately, for whatever reason, the Apple TV doesn't have the classic forget all network settings option that I think you get on other iOS devices. But you can go in and reset all settings. So if you go into settings, system, reset all settings, that will remove network settings, your accounts, unfortunately, configurations, but keep all your applications and data intact. And so you're going to have to go back and kind of reset up your Apple TV, reconnect into your iCloud and all that fun stuff, your Apple Store accounts and all. So that won't be fun, but that might clear things out. And then if that doesn't work, then the nuclear option, basically the nuke and pave, restore, do a factory restore, go into settings, system reset, and do a reset and update to completely nuke it and see if any of those things resolve it. And that's why I would do it in that order, because it's progressively like more and more work to get it back to where you were.
Yeah, you may be right on all of this. Sometimes resetting those settings definitely helps. Where my mind went was, okay, what's the difference between going with his suggestion or Cox's suggestion that the wall between the garage and the house might be the issue, right? So then I start thinking Wi-Fi wise, what's different about the Roku device that seems to have no trouble in the garage and the Apple TV, which seems to have trouble in the garage. And while I don't know the specs of the Roku device, let's assume that maybe the Roku device has only a 2.4 gigahertz radio in it, and the Apple TV has both 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. And we know that 5 gigahertz is bad through walls. And maybe the Apple TV isn't making the right decision here, and it's saying, I see a 5 gigahertz radio, so by golly, I'm going to use it because I know that I want the bandwidth provided by 5 gigahertz, when in fact it should be making the decision, no, let's choose 2.4. That's more reliable here. And of course, Eero merges the two into one SSID, so you can't, and with Eero, you can't tell it full-time to just split them. You can't say, have my Eero 5 gigahertz and Eero 2.4 gigahertz. It's just Eero. However, you can go into the troubleshooting settings and turn off the 5 gigahertz radio for 5 minutes. So that's what I would try to test this theory. You go into your Eero app, you go into troubleshooting, and I think it's like, I forget what the setting is. It's like add a new device, and it's for when you want to add IoT devices, but you need to be on 2.4 gigahertz to pass the SSID or the MAC address along. So I would try that and see, is it better for 5 minutes with the Apple TV? If it is, you know the answer. Now, the solution is different than the answer, because the solution would be find a line of sight path to get Wi-Fi in from your house to the garage. So having an Eero in the garage might not be the best place. What you might want is the Eero, like, let's say you have a door from your house to the garage, which I think is a safe assumption. And now a less safe assumption, let's say you have a countertop or a table right next to that door, right? The door might be easier to pass Wi-Fi through than the walls. So by putting an Eero on, say, the counter by the door, it can grab the signal from the other Eero in the house, and now it's relaying it sort of through the doorway into the garage. And now you've got this relay, and while you don't have an Eero in the garage, you've got an Eero that's sort of broadcasting to the garage, and the things in the garage can get it. Whenever setting up a mesh, I think more about where can the mesh point, you've got your main mesh point, and then you have your satellites. Where can any given satellite get its signal from? Not where do I want it to be so that I can talk to it, but where can it get its signal from? And then where is it sending that signal? Because oftentimes it's not that you want the access point, the mesh point in the same room that you want the signal. You want it somewhere to relay to that room, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where my mind went with all of this, because that's often what happens with mesh is we start thinking, I need signal in the living room, so I'm going to put an Eero in the living room. It's like, well, if you can't get signal in the living room today, your Eero also can't get signal in the living room today. So don't put an Eero there. Put an Eero somewhere in between and think about line of sight, or at the very least, in things that are going to get in the way, like refrigerators and air conditioning ducts and other things that block radio waves.
I've
now
got
I have
follow on.
Yeah.
What about creating a 2.4 gigahertz guest network? I wound up doing that for my bird feeder camera, which only works on the 2.4.
Sure. You'd have to buy additional hardware to do that.
I could have sworn I did it right on my Eero.
I don't believe the Eero will let you create a guest network that only is 2.4 gigahertz. It will let you create a guest network, but not a guest network that's only 2.4. I don't think, but I haven't.
Well, mine's a 6, so.
If I turn on my guest network on my Eero, there are no options. So yeah, no, it's not just doing 2.4 on the
Somehow I
guest
forced 2.4 to my Feathers network.
network. Probably temporarily while you got it set up. If your bird feeder only supports, and now we're getting a little bit off the reservation on this here. If your bird feeder only supports 2.4 gigahertz, then it will only ever connect with 2.4 gigahertz. It cannot connect 5. Right. I realize I'm stating the obvious, but however, the software for your bird feeder, maybe, and I can't say, but based on what you're telling me, I'm being a detective here. I'm guessing the software for your bird feeder, like your iPhone app for the bird feeder, isn't smart enough to tell the bird feeder, go make your own 2.4 gigahertz connection to this SSID. It relies on your iPhone to hand off the MAC address of a 2.4 gigahertz connection. But your iPhone can't make that connection because your iPhone's connected to a 5 gigahertz network and it's handing off the MAC address of the 5. And your bird feeder's like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't see that network because it can't see that network. So you go into your Eero settings, and these are the settings I was mentioning for Larry to try temporarily. And you go in and you say, I want this to be 2.4 gigahertz only, and it'll do that for 5 minutes. And then your iPhone does connect to the 2.4, and then your iPhone gets to hand off the 2.4 MAC address to your bird feeder. And your bird feeder's super happy because it's like, I see a network. And then it connects. And then when the Eero turns 5 gigahertz back on, it doesn't matter. Your iPhone reconnects to 5 gigahertz, but your bird feeder already has the information it needs and for 2.4, and it stays there. So that's what you did. You didn't need a guest network, I don't think. You just needed the, and it's in like troubleshooting and, yeah. So, yeah.
Your comment made me think of something that I had not thought of, Dave, which is, again, we weren't provided any specs on what these devices were, the Apple TV or the Roku. He says it was an old Apple TV. How old an Apple TV? Because if it's an Apple TV second generation, it's 802.11n. If it's an HD second generation, it's 802.11ax Wi-Fi 6. Like, so does he have a Wi-Fi 6 Roku and a 802.11?
Could be the opposite of what we're talking about here.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
maybe
fair.
the Apple TV is not working because it's like really old Wi-Fi technology and it's not got the bandwidth to get through that wall. Yeah. So, that could be the right answer from the Genius Bar. Again, I don't know. I'm speculating. Like, it could be, exactly the opposite of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. So
Sure.
All right, moving on. We've been here for 15 minutes.
No problem. Right?
Good discussion.
I mean, it's a good discussion, but like we can, there is this temptation
to go all day.
Yeah, well, and to just start asking related questions and to get farther and farther off the tangents. And there is value to that. But at some point, we just need to come back home.
Yeah.
So
Father
here we
John
go.
has a question.
Let's go.
Father John wrote in. Yeah. He said, I remember last summer at MacStock, someone asked about putting icons back in the place where they were before the Mac went to sleep. I suggested a program called Desktop Icon Manager, DIM. I put it in my dock, and each time after my Mac sleeps, I have to run it to get the icons to the proper place, the place I set them in DIM. My question is, can there be a shortcut that automatically runs when I wake my Mac from sleep? So really, I don't have to do anything but just wake my Mac. Thanks as always for all the great help you do for all the Mac family each week. See you in July at MacStock, Father John.
Yeah, I hope we can all make it to MacStock. I look forward to that. I enjoy that every year. So I looked at Desktop Icon Manager first because I thought, well, maybe there's a feature here that we just don't know about. And no, it does not have any wake from sleep thing. It has an automatically restore icon positions at start and then quit if you want. So you could set it that way, but again, the app has to launch in order for it to do its job. So how do we tell it to do its job? As Father John points out, shortcuts automation on the Mac, which I'm glad we have, still does not have a wake trigger. Right. So there is no way that I know of using stuff built into the Mac to trigger a shortcut on system wake. There might be. As I'm saying those words out loud, that my brain is churning. But where my brain originally churned towards was, of course, Keyboard Maestro. Keyboard Maestro does have a wake trigger. And with that wake trigger, you can launch an app. And so you set Desktop Icon Manager to automatically restore icon positions at start. And then you check the other box that says, and then quit, so that when your Mac wakes up, the app isn't running. You tell it, please go do this by waking up and having Keyboard Maestro launch the app. The app launches, does its job, and then quits. And you're good to go. It does require you to buy Keyboard Maestro, but I've long said that I think I used to say that Keyboard Maestro is the future of automation on the Mac. I believe that was true back then, and now I believe it's the present of automation on the Mac. But Shortcuts is getting better. The fact that Shortcuts has any automations at all on the Mac is new and welcomed and wonderful. And my guess is, within a couple of iterations of Mac OS, there will be a wake trigger, for example. So that's what I have. Adam, do you have any thoughts about a wake trigger device that might be built into the Mac that I'm not thinking of?
Not one that's built in, but I quickly did some Googling and I'm trying to see if this would do it. I think it might. It looks like there is a lightweight daemon called Advanced SleepWatcher that listens for sleep, wake, and idle events and can run custom scripts at each stage. I mean, you have to install it with like Homebrew or something like that, but
Okay.
You can create triggers to run scripts, command line scripts. I don't know about specifically running, but I mean, you can write a command line script to open an application. I believe the command's
Oh,
just
for sure.
open
It's
application.
just open.
name.
Yeah, open path name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I don't know if you found the link already, but
I did,
can
yeah.
provide it. Yeah.
It's called SleepWatcher and then Advanced SleepWatcher. It can trigger any script or command on sleep, wake, or even idle. Yeah, so there you go. That would be yet another way to do it. Yep.
Yep. I mean, you're going to have to do a little programming, but
It's a little nerdy. Right. Yeah, for sure. Yup.
in
Yeah.
theory,
Keyboard
it should be
Maestro
able to
isn't,
do it.
though.
I mean, well, it's nerdy in a different way.
Yeah.
Way less nerdy than this. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, because Keyboard Maestro, you're dragging things and like choosing actions and all of that, which is like very visual. This is not very visual.
Yeah. Then, I mean, there's a command to open an Apple script. So I would assume there's a command line tool to run a shortcut at this point, right? Or is there not?
Yeah. There is. Yeah. It's I don't know it off the top of my head, but there definitely is a command line tool to run a shortcut. But also, to your point, you would just put in open and the path name to the app.
In this case.
In this case, yeah, for sure. But yes, there is a command line tool to run a shortcut because I remember before Keyboard Maestro got direct access to running shortcuts, I was using that command line thing to run a shortcut. And I forget what it is, so I'm not even going to guess at it. But yeah, that's great. Yeah, that would work. I'm trying to think if there's like Launch D can be set to trigger something on wake. Yeah. I mean, I know Launch D can be set to keep an app running, but we don't want that here because then if we did that, it would just constantly be like relaunch. Hey, by the way, relaunch, and so that wouldn't be so good. I mean, you could set it on a timer so that, once an hour it relaunches this app.
Right.
And, like there's a hack, but I don't know everything there is to know about Launch D in case that's not obvious. So there might be something where you could write a launch daemon script or description plist to definition, I guess would be the name of it, to activate on wake. Like that seems like a thing, but I don't know it. So, an exercise for the listener, ask your favorite chatbot, as long as, your chatbot knows how to do those things.
I think what Dave's trying to say is if you know, send it to us at feedback@macgeekgab.com.
Pete, was that feedback@macgeekgab.com?
It was feedback@macgeekgab.com.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, of course. Always here. Bat and cleanup.
Michael has a question. He says, "Hey, gang, hola from the Dominican Republic." Cool. Whenever I travel, I always have to do some work. Well, that's too bad. But we all kind of have been in that position, I think, at one point or another. I have my trusted VPN, ExpressVPN, on whenever I'm online, and when I do, I pretend I'm in the US. Interestingly, I've been having issues logging into some sites, for example, Buffer, Apple Maps, and even searching on Safari while in one US city or another, DC and Dallas, for example. Then when I flipped to Canada, no issue. Maybe Pete has a thought, or is the US under some sort of cyber attack. I don't think we are, but I mean, there is stuff happening so in the world where someone might want to cyber attack us.
Sí, hola Michael. Por supuesto. Que probablemente, what you're probably seeing, in my humble opinion, is, and anyone who runs a VPN like ExpressVPN, PIA VPN, that sort of thing, will occasionally go to a website and get some pushback. And I think it's just the trust of the exit node. When there's thousands of us on the same VPN server sharing that IP address, you got bots, normal people, and the address gets flagged, and it starts treating it as suspicious. And I think it's just a matter of the amount of traffic from a given server that you're on. First thing I would try if you want to stay in the U.S. is try another U.S. located server. And if you're continuing to get pushback on it, then you obviously found the answer by going to a Canadian server that isn't being overwhelmed by people abusing the system. So that's my humble opinion. Dave, Adam, any of you guys again there? That's the pushback I've seen.
I would agree with that. Yeah, some outbound nodes are known to be VPN nodes, and some are not yet known to be VPN nodes. And then sometimes you get an IP address at your house that was used to be known as a VPN node, and you can't buy concert tickets. Yeah.
No tickets for you.
No tickets for me. Yeah. So like, yes, I would agree with that.
I never leave home, guys, so I don't have to VPN too much other than for work.
I just have to VPN into Pete's house to buy concert tickets. That's the only thing I need.
There you go.
Yep.
And now I'm going to be not able to buy concert tickets. Thanks, Dave.
No, as we're having this conversation, though, it's interesting because I had no trouble for years and years, and then I switched my ISP to Breezeline, which is who I'm back with now, by the way. But when I first switched to them, they had just bought this block of IPs. We talked about it on the show. And I started having like sinisterly weird problems. Like they weren't persistent, but every now and then it took a couple of months for me to realize what was going on. It was finally when I went to buy concert tickets and I got in like the queue and it was like, all right, I'm, it's number 13 and now you're number 1 and you're next. And it was like, you're on a VPN. I was like, no, I'm not on a VPN. I know my friggin' network. Don't tell me what I'm doing. And it took me a little while to realize, that, my new provider is new to New Hampshire, and they just bought this block of IPs from a formerly nefarious, or maybe nefarious VPN provider. I don't know if they were formerly nefarious or not, or if they still are nefarious.
Still are.
But anyway, yeah, exactly. But a lot of these VPN providers realized that the most valuable item on their balance sheet was their blocks of IPv4 addresses. So they started selling them off, which is really smart. And I worked with my ISP who confirmed it. I worked with Ticketmaster who confirmed it, but they were slow to like update their system, which they should because IPs move around all the time. And eventually they did, right? And our IP range is no longer blocked, but I moved back to Fidium for a little while and then came back to Breezeline. But I've had problems buying tickets, and now my account is flagged. And I wonder if my account got flagged back when I was doing all the testing for this Breezeline Ticketmaster issue, and they saw like, oh, hey, this guy with this account with this email address keeps getting flagged because they're known like scammer / bot. And because I was testing so frequently, I wonder if my account wound up getting flagged for this. Because like Lisa and I will be in the same house, same IP address, and she'll be able to get right through and buy tickets, and I will get to the same point, and it's like, no, you're a bad, bad man. And I'm like, if you look at my freaking account history, but I'm thinking my purchase history, you will see that I am a very good customer. Like, I'm the guy you want to reach out to and make sure I know. Like, I spend a lot of freaking money on concert tickets. But my guess is they are looking at my account history. They're just not looking at the part I thought they were looking at.
Right.
And they even told me, I'm like, should I create a new account? And they're like, yes. I'm like, but that goes against your terms of service. Like now you're telling me to violate your terms of service. But I think I understand now why they might have been. It was just in this moment. Like, it dawned on me.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, they're like, don't do the thing that got you banned. And I'm like, I don't freaking know what got me banned. Like, if I did,
I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it. And I understand. I don't understand this. I understand why companies think they don't want to tell like bad actors what they did, so that because they think, well, if I tell you what you did, then you'll know how to skirt around the problem. It's like bad actors know exactly what they did. They're bad actors. Like, right. You're not telling them anything they don't know. But like when you got somebody like me who's like proven to be a good customer and knowledgeable about tech stuff. And I'm saying to you in various different ways, I don't know. It's kind of okay to tell them. And it's a decision that I had to make recently with another company we have, where we get like people that are trying to like scam us, and there was a corporate policy that we had where it was like, we're not going to tell people what they did. I'm like, we're definitely going to tell people what they did. We're definitely going to, and it's worked out amazingly well for us because it stops them from doing it because they know what they did, and when they know that we know what they did, then it's like, okay, conversation, the argument's over. There's nothing to argue about. It's like, oh, but if they told me, oh, you kept beating on the door, it was like, oh, I did keep beating on the door. So now I'm still assuming, but this makes sense. Anyway, thank you for coming to my, what was this, geek therapy. Well, I think that's what it was. Nerd therapy.
Yeah.
Right.
What are your thoughts, Adam? I'm curious as to.
No, my thought is this is an industry that's ripe for disruption.
Oh yeah.
Is what my thought is.
but it's not going to be like, they are working very hard to make sure it can't be disrupted. Which is why
they're a prime target.
Yes, but like, it's not to relitigate all this, but back in the fall, Ticketmaster closed their trade desk platform, which was very lucrative for them, and it was essentially a platform for scalpers or ticket agents, whatever you want to call them, ticket brokers, to use to buy and sell tickets in bulk. And that was the subject of, I think, a Canadian expose, and they realized that Ticketmaster was encouraging people to have multiple accounts and do all these things so that they can make Ticketmaster more money. And they closed without like being forced to. They closed down Trade Desk to avoid any further legal digging or action, because the last thing they want is to be broken up as a monopoly, because they own the venues as Live Nation, and they own the ticketing platform as Ticketmaster, and the venues get to pick the ticketing platform, and therefore everybody has to use Ticketmaster. And that's not true. It's not everybody. There's an asterisk there. It's like AXS that has some stuff on the West Coast, and now we're way deep in the weeds of the ticketing industry. But it's yeah, you're right that they are ripe for disruption, and they are doing everything they can to ensure that there's no option to be disrupted. Yeah. Yep. But that's how it goes. So geek therapy, ticket buyer therapy, concert goer therapy. And now I want to change gears completely. We do have more questions. We've got some NAS questions. So we'll do some NAS therapy. And the next thing that I want to do is we want to tell you about our sponsors. And this episode is brought to you by Pocket Hose, the world's #1 expandable hose. Seriously, as a tech geek, I love gear that solves real-world problems cleverly. And the Copperhead Pocket Hose is exactly that. This thing's so cool. Old school hoses, right? They kink right at the spigot and everywhere else. But this one's pocket pivot swivels 360 degrees. So water just flows and you can move around like you're on cable management duty for your yard, right? When you're done, it shrinks back down to pocket size. That's why they call it that. So your hose storage is actually as tidy as your Mac setup. And it's super light, ultra durable, and backed by a 10-year warranty. I know. The brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot, it's a total game changer. Don't get caught fighting your hose when you could be automating your sprinklers instead. So, for a limited time, as a Mac Geek Gab listener, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just, and this is different, you got to text MGG to 64,000. That's MGG to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with your purchase. MGG to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. See the terms for details, but definitely go check this out. I think you're going to love it. And our thanks to Pocket Hose for sponsoring this episode. And when it comes to dog food, it usually feels like you have to choose, right? You can either have fresh and healthy, or you can have easy to store and serve, but you can't have both, right? Well, now you can. You don't have to choose anymore thanks to our sponsor, Sundays for Dogs. Sundays was founded by a veterinarian and mom Dr. Tori Waxman, right? Who got tired of seeing so-called premium dog food that was full of fillers and synthetics. So she designed air-dried real food made in a human-grade kitchen with the same quality ingredients and care that you'd want if you were cooking for yourself or your own family, right? Every bite of Sundays is clean and made from real meat, fruits, and veggies with no kibble and no weird ingredients you can't pronounce. Around here, don't get caught isn't just for tech problems. It's for what you feed your pup, too. We've fed Sundays to our dog Stanley, and I've even tried it myself. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's true, because I want to know what I'm serving. Make the switch to Sundays. Go right now to sundaysfordogs.com/MGG50 and get 50% off your first order. Or you can use code MGG50 at checkout. Either one works. That's 50% off your first order at sundaysfordogs.com/MGG50. sundaysfordogs.com/MGG50, or use code MGG50 at checkout. And our thanks to Sundays for Dogs for sponsoring this episode. And you know how we say don't get caught, right? You don't want to get caught wasting time on stuff that your tech can do for you. And Tempo, our sponsor, is that for your meals, right? I've got their chili shrimp rice bowl, the garlic Dijon chicken, and the mashed potato and beef cottage pie all queued up for an order, because this is all fresh, chef crafted, and ready in about 2 minutes. Faster than your Mac reboots after an update. And our Macs reboot pretty quick these days, right? Each one of these meals is perfectly portioned, nutrient-packed, and way better than another sad desk lunch or drive-through run. And for a limited time, Tempo is offering you, our listeners, 60% off your first box. Go to tempomeals.com/MGG. That's tempomeals.com/MGG for 60% off your first box. Tempomeals.com/MGG. Rules and restrictions may apply. You got to go check this out. I've had it. I really like it. And I think you're going to like it too. So go tempomeals.com/MGG. Check it out. And our thanks to Tempo Meals for sponsoring this episode. All right. We had some geek therapy. And now, what did you want to call this segment? What time is it, Adam?
Oh, here it is.
It's time for getting nasty.
I like it. All right, let's get nasty here. Yeah, let's go, Pete.
Oh, goodness. All right. I have it here under notes. Where's my notes? There's notes. Guys, help. I bought a new Synology at the end of 2025. I've been using a 416 Play for almost 10 years, and the two drives are about 7 years old, and it seemed like a good time to make the move. But the migration to a new Synology is very, very difficult. It is indeed. I have been driving a Mac since the Mac Plus, use keyboard Maestro, Alfred, Homebridge, etc. I'm ready to give up and get a Mac Mini and a couple of hard drives. Thoughts? Is there an easy way to migrate that I don't know? And should I cut my losses and move on? Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, so I dug into this a little bit. Synology has a migration assistant, right? And it is almost, well, they have two things. They have a migration path that is ridiculously easy. What you do is you take the drives from your old Synology, and in the same order, you move them to your new Synology. And I can't stress enough how important that order is. If you forget the order, I recommend either moving the drives one at a time, drive bay 1 to drive bay 1, drive bay 2 to drive bay 2. But if you're going to take them out, label them when you take them out. Either way, just make sure you don't mess up the order. And if you do that, and then you power on the new one, it'll come up. It'll offer to upgrade the operating system on it to match whatever the new one is. And in general, it just kind of takes your installation and is now running it on the new Synology. If there's a capability mismatch, if you're downgrading in capabilities, that can be a little bit of an issue. But otherwise, yes. However, if as part, and I believe Patrick is wanting to do this, as part of the migration to a new unit, you want to start on a fresh batch of new drives. And there's great reason to want to do this. But if you want to start on a fresh batch of new drives, then it is on you, of course, to figure out how to migrate your data over. And that's where I was going next, is that Synology does have a migration assistant that is built to do this. You run it on both NASs, and it grabs your settings and app data and your user data and all that, all your configuration stuff, and moves it over. Except it doesn't run on the 416 play, which is his old unit. And I don't know why this is. I wish I had an answer to that. Seems like you just want to be able to make it run on everything. But who knows? Maybe there was a CPU limitation of how they wrote Migration Assistant on the Synology, or whatever world that is. He doesn't have that option. And so, yes, this is a manual process. And I wish I could say, like on the Mac, it's not as bad as you think, the whole nuke and pave thing. And it might be not as bad as we think, but I've never done it. I've always just migrated my stuff over by moving the drives and dealt with the consequences of that for better and for worse over the years. So, the way I would approach it is, okay, I know where all my data is stored. You have your shared volumes and you have your user folders. That's essentially where your data is going to be. And the good news is you have the old unit with the old drive. So if you forget something, it's right there. You just move it over. They are on the network. The real trick would be apps and configurations. And that's one of those things where I would just look and say, okay, what apps do I run on my old one that I actually use? Because you might have installed some things that you're not really using or whatever. And then I would one by one install those and then go through the settings screens and, have them up in two different browser windows and just go back and forth and be like, oh, yep, check this box, uncheck that box, yada, yada, name it this, go here, do that. And like a nuke and pave, that will sort of force an audit by you of what you're running, and you might actually make things more efficient and more reliable. So that's my thing. Adam?
So question, and maybe this is my naive brain, but I was a little confused by this question when it came up, because exactly what you just described. When I did my upgrade, I did move the drives over to the new unit, and it was like super simple, and I was like done, and it did its thing, and that was the end of it. I did have new drives that I ended up not using. My question would be, and granted, I think this would take a lot longer to get the new drives migrated to, but is there a world where you do the easy path to get the Synology up and running and then just start swapping in drives and letting it rebuild, and then swap in the next one and let it do its thing, and then swap in the next, and then eventually you have all the new drives?
That also takes a few days.
Yeah, but I mean, it's no big deal. You just
you're not doing the work.
Right, you're not doing the work. Yeah, exactly. And clearly, your old drives have enough space on them for your old data, just sort of by definition of the laws of the universe. And so, yeah, like that would be, boy. Now that you say it out loud, that's the answer. Yeah. Yeah, we can just erase everything else, and Patrick's becomes like a 30-second question.
The problem is that I recall, I did this recently with my 415 play. I put in 4 8-terabyte drives, and it turns out that no matter what, the 415 doesn't go above, I want to say 24 terabytes. And so I got there, and I wound up having to put an entirely new volume on it as well in order to take advantage of the fact that I had 32 terabytes worth of drives.
Yes. That would, if you're, yes.
Because you check ahead of time what your ceiling is.
Yeah. The limitations of the volume that you created on the original NAS would carry over. So if, for example, it was, ext4 and you wanted BTRFS as the file system, that's not going to happen when you do it the way you described, Adam, when you just do the in-place replacement. If you want to, and I suppose now that we're saying this, there was one time when I did this manual data move because I wanted to move from ext4 to BTRFS. And that has paid off because I forgot about it, and it's been basically smooth sailing ever since, other than that one issue I had, but we won't go into that. Self-inflicted wounds. But yeah. So, but it really, so I have done this now that I say it, and it was, I budgeted a Saturday afternoon for it, and it probably, I don't have a recollection of it spilling into, now it's Tuesday and, I haven't showered and my family's just, bringing me food. It wasn't one of those, scenarios. So it was, having two screens is really probably the best thing, and just, go back and forth. And there is benefit to getting on the latest volumes, file system, and then also, to your point, Pete, creating a new volume from scratch. You get all the benefits. You get the 8 gig system partition size instead of the 1 gig system partition size right out of the gate, which is really good for all the reasons that the self-inflicted wounds I said we weren't going to talk about. So yeah, I think there is benefit to that. But
all right.
A lot of options. Yeah. We have more. We said we were going to get nasty. We can't just have one NAS question.
More get nasty. Yeah.
Good.
Mike wants to get nasty. He says, "Hi, I need a Synology disk station, so my data is redundantly saved. I have about 21 terabytes of info right now. I will use it for storage, safe redundantly saved storage. What would you recommend I buy? I would like something that is reasonably priced and that I can grow with storage-wise. Also, I know there are certain drives that are recommended to be used with the disk station. What drives should I buy, and how big should each drive be so that I have room to expand? I've used Western Digital Red in the past. Where should I buy everything from? I'm guessing Amazon." So he's got quite a few questions there.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah. So there's a couple. These are great questions, right? What do you say? 21 terabytes of data. That's a lot of data, right? But with the right size drives, you could definitely get away with a 4-bay Synology on this, or 4-bay NAS, I should say. And so, to me, is it the 425 plus, the 925 plus, or maybe the 1525 plus, right? Note that none of the 2025 and later Synology units support hardware transcoding on Plex because of Synology's decision not to pay the Intel licensing fees for use of the GPU for transcoding, even though the GPU is right there. So there's no hack around this, I suppose. I mean, I guess if you were to compile your own kernels and do things, maybe, but it's not going to happen, right? So that's something to bear in mind. But those are the units, and I'll put a link to kind of the Synology comparison tool where those units are all right up there, so you can kind of get a sense of how many drive bays are in any of these. And I put the 1823 XS Plus up on there too, in case you want to go with like way more drive bays, but it's either 4 or 5 bays. The CPU doesn't really, I used to lean towards the Intels because of the hardware transcoding, but the AMD Ryzen CPUs are great, sort of for this class of Synology NAS in terms of CPU horsepower. So kind of pick the one that fits for how many drives you want to get and how many, what you want to do there. But that's what I would do. And then also, Synology has this RAID calculator that allows you to see how much storage you're going to get with the drives that you're going to put in, and it's kind of fun to play with. But it will show you, okay, look, if you're going to put in 3 4 terabyte drives and 1 6 terabyte drive, how much storage am I going to get out of this, and how much storage am I going to be sort of leaving for the future, unused space, if it were, right? And you will have some unused space if you have mismatched size drives in some cases. Synology allows them with their SHR RAID type, the Synology hybrid RAID, which is great. But what will happen is every drive needs to have at least another drive in your array that is the same size in order for it to be protected. And you need to be for one drive of fault tolerance. So if you have all 4 terabyte drives, great. If you have 2 4 terabyte drives and 2 6 terabyte drives, great. That all works fine. You're not wasting any space, right? Because every drive has at least another drive in there that's the same size. But if you have 3 4 terabyte drives and 1 6 terabyte drive, you're going to have about 2 terabytes of unused space. It's not wasted space. It's unused space. Because if one of those 4 terabyte drives either fills up or if you want more storage or it dies, right, and you replace it, well, now you get to take advantage of that extra storage that has just been sitting there when you put a 6 terabyte or larger drive in. I will often upgrade you, and you always, one rule with Synology is you have to, when you put a new drive in on the same volume, it has to be the same size or larger than your largest drive. So what I often do is just keep upgrading. When I have to replace a drive, I take whatever my largest drive is and I put something in that's bigger than that, because that forces me down a path where I'm going to keep expanding my storage. It's gotten to be an expensive habit, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
but it works, right? It keeps me moving forward. There's always unused space, but that's okay. Like it's fine. I'm banking on the future with that, and it works. I say there's always unused space. That's not necessarily the case. As long as my drives, only when there's one drive that's larger than the rest. But sometimes it'll be like, all right, well, there's 2 drives that I need to replace, so I'll replace them both with 20 terabyte drives. And okay, fine. But those 20 terabyte drives don't come cheap. And now I don't know what we're up to on the Macs. So. There were other questions, though, right? Was there something else? Which drives to get?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get desktop-grade drives. You want to buy NAS-rated drives or at least enterprise-grade drives because these are going to be running all the time. And your desktop... I've used a NAS with desktop grade drives. It works, but they die fast. They're just not built to be beat on like a NAS is going to beat on a drive. So getting NAS grade drives, I think the Western Digital Reds are those. The Seagate makes a couple. I really like the Seagate Exos, EXOS drives. Those are what I've kind of standardized down in mine. There's the Iron Wolf drives. I had issues. I think I got some of the beta or early release Iron Wolf drives. I had a lot of problems with Iron Wolf drives early on, so much so that I just stopped buying them. Other people have said they work great for them, so your mileage may vary, might be different than mine. But I couldn't wait to get those Iron Wolf drives out of my Synology and get them over to the Exos drives were great. And it's been a little while since I bought a drive, so I don't want to say, but you can find them on Amazon. You can find them on Newegg. B&H Photo sometimes has drives. There are times, there was a long time where I was buying the Seagate, like you could buy whatever size it was. Let's say it was $300 for the 12 terabyte Exos drive. I think it was a 16 terabyte Exos drive if you were buying it bare metal, which is what you need, right, to put in the Synology. At the same time, for $210, you could buy the 16 terabyte external Seagate drive, which if you crack the case open, was a 16 terabyte Exos right inside. And so I was like, all right, well, I don't mind cracking the case open and just stripping the drive out. So you shuck the case and, put the drive in, and it was okay, $210 instead of $300. But I don't know if that's the case now, no pun intended. So check that, So that's what I got.
Yeah. I've been buying the Reds for years. Never,
okay, that's good to know.
Had issues.
And those have worked well for you, I assume?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Good.
I forgot what I bought, but I bought them through Amazon. I knew they were NAS rated.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is it a beefier motor in there, you think? Is that the...
Yeah. That's a really good question, Pete. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But I just know that it's, it's built not to fail. It's probably, I don't know. I don't even want to guess. But yeah.
Better cooling, bigger motor, something.
Maybe.
Engineered differently.
Engineered differently. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of doesn't matter.
We've got some cool stuff found to go through, and I think we've got time to do at least a few of them, right, Adam? We got a little bit here for both of us. I wanted to mention, this is like cool stuff evolved. Setapp now allows single app purchases and single app subscription plans as of a few days ago. So, or maybe a week ago now, by the time this episode comes out. So, which, just gives you a little bit more flexibility and all of that. So just wanted to share. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep. I still maintain that a Setapp subscription is one of the best things you can do, but there are Setapp memberships, I guess they call them, which are single app memberships, and they've got a whole guide on their website that explains what's what and how that all works. But you can buy apps in the marketplace, and you can subscribe to a single app for like a month or 3 months or 12 months or whatever you want. So it's interesting. Yeah,
that's
more
awesome.
Options. Yep.
Yeah, it's still one of the most economical ways to get.
As long as you're using it.
Good. Yeah. There's so many apps on there. How are you not using it?
Well,
obviously it's not.
It's easy to I will often find myself searching for an app to serve a purpose. Like I needed a app to read a Markdown file, and I just am not somebody that lives in Markdown world. And Adam, you sent me a Markdown file for instructions for a thing. And obviously the beauty of Markdown is you can read it. It's human readable, but I'm like, well, I want the links to be links and, all this stuff. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute. Let me look. And sure enough, of course, in Setapp, there's several. And I was like, oh, Marked. That's the one I want. And so I downloaded Marked, and I'm good to go. I don't have to worry about it. It's probably better than whatever free app I would have found, it would have been maybe janky or maybe not. I don't know. I was like, awesome. Great. Already have it. Great. But it took me a beat to remember, oh yeah, go search Setapp for that. So
was it you or Adam that fed all your apps into ChatGPT and said, so you could say, hey, what should I use to accomplish this? I thought it was one of you. Maybe it was a listener.
Yeah.
They said they did a listener.
That. Yeah. But, all right. Moving on.
Yeah. So Mark wrote in with a cool stuff found. He says, I have been using this app and I like it. MailBackupX at mailbackupx.com. $59. And I seem to recall answering a question to somebody about Mail Backup with Thunderbird and
MailBackupX will work for Thunderbird for sure.
Yeah. But Thunderbird already keeps everything in a way you can archive it off easily.
That archive, not backup. Mail also keeps an archive of your mail.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking backup. Then you back up that folder with Time Machine, but that's a whole nother.
That's yes. Then you've got to figure out how to restore.
But yes, the whole conversation. Archive, not backup, is not equal. Those are two unequal and very different things.
What do you got, Adam? Uh-oh. Oh, Adam's muted. That's why we don't have anything from him.
Open the window and shout at him.
I have a recommendation from Tony. He says, I'd like to draw attention to the discussion surrounding cellular providers. Please consider US Mobile. I've been using them for 6 months and find them to be a geek lover's dream. They offer innovative and competitive cellular plans that provide users with the flexibility to switch between the three major carriers on the fly. Unlike many other low-cost providers, their 5G offers you access to the upper bands of 5G. Additionally, their plans incorporate eSIM and a range of advanced features catering to the needs of tech-savvy individuals.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I've always been curious about US Mobile's ability to do the transfers. And you can, depending on the account tier you pay for, you either get transfers free or you pay $2 every time you transfer from one network to another. But yeah, it's interesting. And they've got thanks, Tony. Tony also sent along a referral code, which I think gets you something and gets him something. So I put the referral code in the show notes for Tony. Happy to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Love it. bbwerner, I was reading Threads, and bbwerner suggested to us when we were talking about notes and things like that there is it's not an app, it's a framework called ForeverNotes that is a digital note-taking method for Apple Notes. And it's a note-taking framework that kind of gives clarity and all of that for you, where you use asterisks and links in different ways to just make the best of your notes. And bbwerner says it has been very valuable for them. So we recommend, or we share the recommendation. There you go.
Huh.
Yeah. I like it. Just a way of thinking about your notes. Wish there was a way to see the history of my notes, but change log. Yeah.
Here's one from Niceville Steve. He says, "Hey guys, I just went to the OnyX website to download and update, and I noticed that they've added some new tools that some folks may find useful and thought I would share it with you." So they have additional tools and updates in OnyX, I guess.
Well, it's not just, I think what he was pointing out is
different
Titanium
utilities.
Titanium software has OnyX, and then also maintenance and deeper and uninstaller and CalHash and access menu and schedulizer. Oh, I like these titles. It's fun. Yeah.
So they have a bunch more utilities that you can get. Yeah.
Hey.
There's a maintenance utility and deeper for personalizing and uninstaller. So, yeah.
There's Schedulizer, which is a utility for macOS that lets you schedule specific times for your Mac to start up, shut down, or go to sleep. I wonder if it can also schedule restarts, because we lost the GUI ability. We can do it in the terminal still, but I'll have to look into that because that's for macOS Tahoe. Huh.
Hey, can I call an audible?
Go.
Because I want to point out something that came up for me the other day, and it may save people a lot of money if you're on the Apple Plus subscription or whatever. What do they call the app? Now I'm going to blank.
Apple One?
Apple One. If you're on the Apple One, I don't know if it's available to all tiers, but it popped up as I was in system preferences, and they kind of pop up ads now to a certain degree. So it popped up an ad, and it said, I was looking at my Apple Care because I was trying to figure out if I still had devices that were on Apple Care that I don't really use or own anymore, and I was trying to save some money. And it popped up and it said, "Hey, you could save money if you switch to the new Apple Care Plus on your One subscription, because it covers up to 3 devices for $20 a month."
Yep.
And so I was paying, I think, $10 for an iPhone and $10 for some other device. But my Apple Vision Pro, and I thought it didn't cover Apple Vision Pro, because my Apple Vision Pro is $24.99 a month, just the Apple Vision Pro. And so I switched. It canceled and refunded partials on my old month-to-month subscriptions, or I think I had one that was a 1-year subscription and one that was still month-to-month. And I put all 3 on my Apple Care One subscription for $20 a month. So I went from $44 a month, $44.99 or whatever, $44.97 it probably was, down to $20 a month for 3 devices.
Wow.
Covered.
And so this is the Apple Care Plus multi-device subscription
for Apple Care that covers up to 3
Apple
devices.
Care. Yeah.
And it had a great interface for doing it. Like when I went through it, it had a little wizard, and it said, "Okay, what's the first device you want to cover?" And you pick that. And it's like, "Okay, what's the second device you want to cover?" And you pick that. And then what's the third device you want to cover? You pick that. And I said, "All right." Yep. Switch over, and then I got emails. It's like, "Well, we canceled this one. We canceled this one. Oh, and you still had a partial month on this one, so here's another $4.99 back." And
I had the same great experience, because instead of putting all that money into one policy for my Vision Pro, I decided to go to the subscription model, and it gave me a refund for what was left on my MacBook Pro, and Yeah,
that's right.
and
It was my
great.
MacBook Pro. That was the other.
Yeah.
So I covered my MacBook Pro, my iPhone, and my Apple Vision for $20 a month.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I
great.
think I could be wrong. Does it, Adam? Do you know? Does it just keep going until you stop paying for
Yes.
it? I mean,
Yeah, just like that. That I've gone to month for the life of my device for all my stuff. I know you can still do the, X number of years up front, however you want to do it when you buy AppleCare. But I've switched to the month to month because I'm keeping my devices for longer. So I don't want my AppleCare to end after
go
2
away
years.
after 2 years. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. And they prorated my refund and everything. It was great.
Love it.
What I didn't put on there was my watch, and I'm probably going to need a new battery within a year or so. So, oh well.
Yeah, I didn't put my AirPods Pro on there because that was like $10 a month, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's
why
not
am I
worth
paying
it.
$10 a month for my AirPods Pro? Like,
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
going to replace them if something
new
happens.
pair,
I'm just
yeah.
going to buy a new pair. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to squeeze one last cool stuff found
Here he
in,
goes.
and then we're going to ripcord this because because it's how we're going to do it. Wi-Fi Toolkit from TP-Link is you don't need a TP-Link router to use it, and it lets you do speed tests, but also you can see other devices on your network. It's a really cool thing that you can see, what's on what do you see when you're on your hotel network. You can scan for devices. It's a really cool little utility. You can do ping tests, and it's free. So Wi-Fi Toolkit.
That's awesome.
It is like it's one of those things. It's like, okay, we need this utility, and I just happened to stumble into it when I was testing the TP-Link Deco, and sure enough, I was like, right, there we are. Great,
Dave,
Love
you
it.
say Wi-Fi toolkit. I say why not Fi toolkit.
There you go. Love it. Love it. I like it. That's great. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for everything. Your cool stuff found, your questions, your tips. That's what keeps the show rocking. Thanks for checking out our sponsors and seeing if they've got something for you. Thanks to Cashfly for all the bandwidth. Thanks to Rogue Amoeba for our giveaway this month at macgeekgab.com/giveaway. You can win a copy of Sound Source, so go register for that while that's still running. If you need more of Adam, debut film podcast, more Pete. So there I was. More me, Business Brain, Geek Gab. Go check out the Mac Geek Gab iOS app. Another update should be coming out. We're just waiting on Apple. But fixes just a couple of little polish. Pete's shirt. Adam, what's it say?
Unlike me during this episode with a couple of audio things, don't get caught.
Me too. Oops.
Made on the Mac. See you, folks.
See you, folks. Later.